So we'll start again. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Anne White and I'm Head of International Trade at the Chamber of Commerce here, Thames Valley. And I'm glad to see so many people have actually joined the webinar today, looking at the changes in regards to the UK certificates of origin. I thank everyone in advance for the pre-questions that they sent, and we've tried to answer as many of them in the context of the webinar. But if you do have questions you wish to ask, please put them in the Q&A, and we know some of you will use the chat. I welcome also today is my colleague Leanna Ward, who's at our Heathrow office, and Manager Devo, who's based here in Slough. So they're going to merrily answer some questions, but we'll also take questions live at the end of the session. I will tell you the session is being recorded, so if you miss anything, you'll get an email which taking you back to the recording, and you can look at it again at your leisure if you wish to. So without further ado, I'm going to start. So why are we changing the format of certificates of origin? Well, we all know there's a global move towards digital trade, especially in documentation. It makes sense, sustainability, good for the environment, quicker. His Majesty's government digital ambition is to have paperless border by 2025. That they are introducing the single window, and some of that obviously is going through in 2023 with the bill that allows electronic bills of lading, etc. So this is just one of the other moves that's taking place. The International Chamber of Commerce rules now allow for plain paper printed certificates of origin, and we're a bit behind the game really on this in the UK. So the decision was taken to move to the plain paper certificates of origin this year, and it is the first step in that digital journey. Currently, there are 12 countries switched over, have been using plain paper copying. Some have been using them for a couple of years, a year. And it seems to have worked very well for them. They came back with no negativity, but you know, like these things, they always have challenges, and I'm sure there'll be challenges that questions you have that I may not have concluded. So please do ask. So we know with the pre-printed certificates of origin, there are problems with printing. You know, sometimes if you share a printer, or you might put it through the printer and somebody else has printed something, we know that you have to, if you want to use the express or DIY part of the actual electronic platforms, you have to have pre-printed copies in stock. Obviously, with plain paper printing, you don't need to worry about those two things. However, there are things that need to be adhered to, and we'll cover that later. Also now, when we go fully electronic, i.e. all applications to be received via the electronic portals, they are all logged on the ICC verification portal. That portal is now used by authorities and other bodies around the world to check authenticity of certificates of origin. We know it is used by many countries, and obviously in order to do that, everything needs to be digital. So we'll talk a bit more about that later. So we have a two-step process that's happening for us. The reason for the two-step is our colleagues at ICC have actually changed their logo, and worldwide they are not accepting any certificate. They want us all to change from the 1st of April to the new branded ICC logo, which obviously, as you can see there from the screen, the GB number at the bottom of the image is the number that represents Thames Valley Chamber of Commerce. So if we used another Chamber of Commerce, they will have their own unique number, and that helps in the verification process and the audit trail. So we have some new pre-printed certificates of origin for a month, which will be launched on the 1st of April. And, you know, it is a bit of a logistical nightmare, but that's just unfortunate. That's how the dates work for us. What happens if you hold stock of the current pre-printed certificates? What we're asking you to do is to let us know what stock you have, and then to actually send that stock in, and we will swap them. Because if you have pre-printed certificates of origin and you've paid up front for the certification, we will bank that certification amount, and when you do a new certificate, or for that month of April, we will swap to the new certificates pre-printed, but into May we will then bank any stock that you have left, any ones you haven't used, and we will then, when you order a certificate of origin, we know you've automatically paid for that. But we can only do that if you send back the old stock. We are moving, as I said, to that from the 1st of April. What does that mean to you when you're applying for applications? What it means is we will not be able to accept any old style certificates with the old logo from the, I think it's the 28th, I'm just looking, from the 31st. If they're not received, i.e. by post, or they've not been swapped over, anything that's processed and late after the 31st, received in our office and is correct for stamping, cannot be processed if it has the old certificate. So we would encourage you to think ahead, plan ahead, and send back those certificates for exchange or banking. If you're not sure, tell us what you have, tell us any inquiries that you have, or email export@tvchamber.co.uk. You guys that use the Banbury office or the Heathrow office obviously will also know those email addresses to use. But everyone knows the situation at the Chamber. We're here to help. Just give us a call on that one. So that's the first stage, April, new pre-printed certificates with the new logo. The second stage of the process will happen from the 1st of May for us, 2023. What that means is all applications must be applied through the electronic portal. So we will not accept after that date any postal, courier, in-person certificates dropped through the door. So applications need to be applied for by whichever electronic portal you're using, whether it be eCert, whether it be iCert, whether it be any other portals that you use. And we will not, as I said, we will reject anything that comes in after that date. If it's not with us by the 31st, if it's on a pre-printed certificate, it will not be processed. So that's very important, and you need to remember that. So please do talk to your teams, talk to everyone within your organization, because if you do have those pre-printed certificates, you need to maybe take action now. What if you're not registered for the electronic portal? But it's an easy process. Contact your local chamber office that you're dealing with, and they will send you the login, how to register, or it's also on our website, thamesvalleychamber.co.uk. We know there are some countries that traditionally have required a wet stamp. That may still happen, and those applications must be sent through as a standard application so that the Chamber of Commerce can then print that out. But we expect and we envisage most applications to come through in the DIY express format, which means that you will then print them. When you get the file back, you will print them yourselves. So what is the new process for the express DIY applications? The process, basically, you submit using the portal. For this instance, I'm going to say eCert. You submit as an express application. The certificate is obviously checked for this process, and once it's been certified by the Chamber, a unique certificate of origin number will be added. So the systems will automatically generate a certificate of origin number to be shown on the certificate. We will then approve that application. You'll get a notification. We will invoice you for the actual work, the processing, the certification, and then you will receive an electronic version of the certificate. That will be ready for printing. What has to happen though is, and I'm just going to move my thing, is that the certificate consisting of the original and the copy document are the only 2 pages you will receive. The application copy is only kept by us in the Chamber. So once you get that certificate of origin, you can then print that, or you may want to forward it to your importer so they can print it. But that printing must be in colour. the actual International Chamber of Commerce rules stipulate that printing should still be in colour, and we'll look at a certificate, how it's going to look a little bit later. So submit your application. We certify it, obviously, if it's correct. It's allocated unique number. It comes back to you as an electronic file ready for printing. You will receive the original and the copy, or multiple originals, multiple copies, which you will then print yourself in colour, or you may wish to forward to your agent importer to print in colour. Then we have the standard applications. So the standard application, again, as we said, we expect fewer of these to come through because everyone has been notified of this change. All the customs authorities around the world have been notified of this change, but we know sometimes the message doesn't get through. So there may be some requirements for wet stamping. If there is a wet stamping, it's sent as a standard application. The chamber then obviously will check the application, certify it, the certificate of origin number, unique number will be added. You will receive notification that that application has been approved, just as you do now. And then the chamber will actually print the certificate of origin for you in colour, and that will be then sent on to you in whichever way you prefer it to be. I know some offices, they collect, some customers may wish to it sent to them, but that is your choice. So you will let us know. Obviously, the same similar charges will apply. However, if you do wish us to print, and you then there may be additional costs, because colour printing can be a bit expensive. So we'll still look at it. There's the possibility that there'll be a nominal fee for the colour printing. So here we have a sample preview of the certificate that you will receive. And we have one which I've printed out. You know, it's a bit alien to us at the moment, but this is what it's going to look like. So you have the actual original document, which is a similar color to when you print it. Obviously, we would recommend that it's not quite the same color as the pre-printed, but it's a very similar color, and it does have security features in it. So you'll see it has the QR code, it has the ICC number as well, but it also has the wavy little light line in the background. So you'll get the original certificate of origin, and then the actual copy certificate of origin. As you can see, the only color on it is the ICC logo. So there are no yellow copies. They won't be yellow. They will just be white. And you can, as you know, you can use that for your file copy, or sometimes clients wish to have the actual copy themselves. So that we mentioned the allocation of the unique certificate of origin number. Each chamber branch will have its own unique two-letter identifiers. That will be then followed by a two-letter identifiers, and that will then be followed by a 7-digit number. They are unique. They are generated by the system automatically, because as we know, there cannot be two certificates of origin number in circulation with the same unique identifier. So, points arising from the changes. Because we are only accepting electronic certificates of origin applications through the portals, and the actual applications that are approved go onto the ICC verification database, this means that we will, after May the 1st, we will no longer be able to accept or process any manual changes to a certificate of origin once it's been actually certified by the chamber. So I know for sometimes there are issues with there may be issues with weights, packaging changes. A certificate of origin doesn't necessarily need to be actually raised before the goods are shipped. So this obviously system allows, if you want to send a file, it allows you in a more easy way to be able to do that. So you should know the weights and the packaging at point when you do the certificate, but we cannot accept any manual amendments after the 1st of May. So because the version on the reason for this is the version on the actual verification system will differ from the version that is actually the printed out version with the manual amendments. So no manual amendments. You will have to apply for a replacement certificate of origin. And as we know, a replacement certificate of origin has charges which apply. Can you still do multiple originals? You can still do multiple originals. The system will, when you raise it, obviously it asks you how many originals you want. You would just put that in again, and it will automatically annotate the relevant number of originals or the relevant number of copies, and it will give them the same number and put the 1 of 2 originals, 2 of 2 originals. We know in a lot of cases that this is maybe subject to a letter of credit or something like this. So that's why the system still does that. And obviously, please remember, originals are originals. It gives that annotation 1 of 2 originals, 2 of 2 originals. So when you actually do send it to a bank or whatever, they will, and they will know that it is actually 2 authentic original certificates of origin because of that. So please remember that. And if you're adding stuff to it or whatever when you print it, it can be easily known because no manual amendments will be allowed. Plus the verification system, which they all use, including the banks, will not actually show the up-to-date version of the certificate. So you cannot, as you know already, add anything to a certificate of origin once it's been certified by the Chamber of Commerce. Another thing that's come, a question that came up for the pre-questions is what happens if you want to have a UK certificate of origin which needs to go to the Egyptians for legalization? We know, obviously, they have to be sent as a standard application. We will then certify them and send them to the Egyptian Chamber for processing. What we won't do in that case, because it has to be a hard copy standard application that we're sending up, we will not charge any additional fee for printing. EURs and Arab certificates of origin, at this point in time, they are not affected by any of these changes. It only relates to UK certificates of origin. We do know HMRC are quite keen to try and introduce other versions of the EUR1 with a QR code that can be logged onto the ICC database as well. And obviously developments continue with the Arab British certificates of origin as we go forward. Invoice and other documents. Again, the process is unaltered. Some of you we know will add an invoice or other documents for stamping onto the electronic platform. We can still do that. We would recommend if you want them stamping, we would say if you want them stamping with an electronic stamp, it's always good to upload them as a color document because sometimes they get a bit, sometimes some of the authorities can get a bit strange when they know, they know it's, but really with the move to electronic, it shouldn't happen. So we would recommend upload it as a color document, but if it's not a color document, then please upload it. We will stamp it electronically. And again, you will get that back and you'll be able to do what you need to do with that. You also have the option, obviously, to courier or post invoices and other documents into the chamber, just as you do now. So it's, the option is there, but as we move totally to electronic in the trading world, then it'll become more and more the forefront. Everything will go electronic and you'll just be used to that process. This is all just a process change for us all. And, we're alien to, we don't like process changes as much as you do, but we have to move with the times, and the UK is being a little bit behind some of the other nations in regards to this. Will plain paper certificates be accepted by all countries? So we mentioned before there are 12 countries that are already doing this. Some of you may have seen these plain paper certificates where somebody may send you them for proof of origin for goods coming from China, say. We've seen them. We've seen the Chinese certificates coming in this format. So they have all been written to, all the customs authorities or the bank, everyone has been written to from a UK perspective to notify them of these changes. Currently, 40% of the certificates of origin issued worldwide are done this way. We know there are countries who really don't like them, but we also know there are countries that that they're going through straight away. I mean, we would love you, please put questions. If you've got any questions, put them into the Q&A session or the chat, because we can cover that shortly. So we know 40% of the certificates are being done worldwide. They're being issued this way. So why should the United Kingdom ones be dealt with any differently? What happens if a certificate of origin is printed in black and white? If you would print your certificate of origin, the rules state the International Convention controlling, this is the boring bit, controlling a certificates of origin state they need to be in colour. That hasn't been changed. So if you choose to print your certificate of origin in black and white, you risk it being refused by authorities. And I suspect at this point in time, it may be likely to be refused by authorities because it's new to them. They're going to see it. They're going to think, oh, this isn't correct. So if it is refused by authorities and you have to come back to us, then you have to actually come back. You can obviously print it in colour, is advisable. But if you need to come back to us because they refused it, they've confiscated it, then you will have to do a replacement. And if there is a replacement, then you will, of course, be charged again. If a pre-printed UK certificate of origin is issued before the 1st of May and the goods have not arrived until after that date, will it still be valid? Quick answer, of course it will still be valid. The date we actually stamp it, when we stamp on the 31st of, is it the 28th of April, I think is a working day, I'm not quite sure, let me just, when we actually stamp it that date, that final date, we're accepting those hard copy or those non-electronic certificates, where we're going to use pre-printed things. They, as long as the chamber date is the 1st or the 1st of May, they will be accepted. And of course, there won't be a chamber date on a pre-printed certificate after the 1st of May because we will not process them. We will be refusing those documents and asking you to resubmit as an electronic plain paper document. I mentioned earlier the ICC verification site. This is what it looks like. That is the website address there. And this is the one the authorities or anyone else can check whether a certificate of origin, as long as obviously the countries in which there's huge amounts of countries now that are signed up to this scheme are on the system, you can check whether the certificate of origin is valid. And this is what the authorities in the various countries now are doing. We are not getting emails from countries, customs asking us whether this is authentic certificate, whether it's a fraudulent certificate. They are going straight onto this portal and they are checking them through the means available. And I think what that means is, it's a bit of a no-brainer that we all go to electronic, because in theory it should make our lives and your lives a little bit easier. So it allows a smoother transition for certificates, less queries, as long as they've gone through the route they need to go through. So, questions. Malin, have we had any more questions coming in?
No, we do have few, and I've just answered some with Liana. So one of them is, actually I have two questions that are referring quite to the same thing. Somebody's saying that, what will happen if you by accident print black and white? Can you after that print in paper? And another question will be, can you reprint the certificate if something goes wrong first time printing?
Okay, so I was expecting this question and I can't give an exact answer at this point, because we know at some stage with some documents at this point in time there are some restrictions on a one only print. We are still that we have a mock-up of the system, but I'm waiting for that question to be answered. And I should get that answer this week. So when we send out the link to the questionnaire, we will answer that question for you. It may have a restriction of one only print, it may not. But obviously it comes to you as a file. I'm going to say no more.
Okay, I've got another question here, but this is not quite referring to the new plain paper. Somebody's saying about the new request that we have for certificates of origin in regards to invoice number and date.
Oh, right, yes.
So basically it's just asking about it, and if you can, or not yet invoiced. Not yet invoiced is not sufficient, I can tell you that. So
Yeah.
you cannot say that, because you cannot issue a certificate of origin if you don't have an invoice, a shipping invoice or a commercial invoice for that.
Yeah. So with certificates of origin now, it's mandatory for us to ask for the invoice number and the date. The rationale behind this was that there has been some incidences where some companies, I don't know who they were, have issued two separate shipments, certificates of origin, two different lots of goods with the same invoice, just the same invoice. And so that's why we ask prior to them actually having the invoice number on the date and certificate, they've been somehow two certificates for the same invoice number and date. We cannot have that. It's mandatory. They are, so one invoice, one certificate of origin must be issued for one shipment. We cannot have multiple certificates of origin in circulation for a shipment. So that is why the chambers asked for the invoice number and the date so it can be tied up. And we know it's quite interesting how the team actually do spot that certificate's already been done before, when somebody maybe accidentally applies for the same certificate on the same shipment. So it's something that has been asked for, and it's something that is requested. We know as some organizations that's very difficult, and we will listen to everyone. If you have an issue, you need to contact us and call us on that.
We've got another, somebody saying that the International Chambers of Commerce website is not working very well to check the certificates right now.
Indeed, we've raised that issue with them yesterday, because I had to have a look yesterday. Some were coming up and some weren't. I think they've redone it, so I think they've got a bit of a technical glitch at this point in time, but it will get sorted. And if you have anything specific on that, then please do come back to us.
The next two are in regards to specific markets.
Okay.
Are the plain paper certificates accepted by Kuwait?
Well, they will be acceptable. They've had the notice, they're accepting. Right, the countries that are currently using them, we're talking China, the Netherlands, Belgium, and there was others as well, but I can remember those off the top of my head. The Netherlands has issued every single certificate of origin that they produce electronically, and they've all gone through with all the Arab markets without an issue.
Yeah, I think that answers the question. Now, what about one for Egypt? So our Egyptian customer uses Cargo X for all paperwork uploading.
Yes.
Will we not need to upload the certificate of origin on that anymore?
Obviously, you're uploading your certificate of origin. You continue to do that. Obviously, the goods are going by sea, which is a requirement, because they have Cargo X is the system used for the Egyptian single window. So it's similar to what we're going to be introducing by 2025. So if you have to upload your certificates electronically, then you still have to do that under the requirement for Egyptian entry.
Yeah, thank you. So they will still need to upload it, but in a different format, in the different format that will come. So
basically, if you print it, it needs to be printed as per the requirements. But obviously, you've got that file. It may be in a format you can automatically upload it to the Cargo X system.
So just to answer to Wei Lu, if you print the plain paper certificate of origin, it will be accepted by the import customs authorities? It will.
It should, definitely should. And if there is an issue, you need to actually come to us and tell us there's an issue, because we will take that issue forward for you.
Yeah, I've got another question about payments. How are payments for the certificates of origin going to be managed?
Okay, yeah, payments will change slightly. I know that some of you do buy blank certificates in advance, which you keep to use on the Express system, on the Easy Search system. We will actually invoice at time of processing. So we will invoice time of processing. And if you're somebody, if you're a company that does several a day, you will get one invoice that day.
Yeah, let me try to find out another one because Diana is answering them too. Can we continue to have the Chamber of Commerce print our certificates and we collect them?
You can, yes, they can, but there will be a charge for that.
Yeah, so
It'll be a nominal charge. It's not going to be, you know, the same price. You'll pay for the certificate and there'll be a nominal charge for printing.
Yeah, that's just to cover our costs.
The additional costs of the, yeah.
It seems that Diana is answering. So what format will the file be?
So
a special software installed or something like that?
I mean, the file will probably be in the same format you're getting. It's coming to you when you open it now. So in a lot of cases, it's maybe a picture. I think it's a picture, a PDF file. We're still waiting on that to arrive on our desk, but it's going to work exactly the same way where you click on now to actually look at your document and maybe print off onto your certificate of origin. It'll be in the same format.
Yeah, I think that answers the question. So let's see. One of them is, can you advise the actual nominal cost for the chamber to print out the certificate?
Chambers are charging different prices, the same as they, you know, we don't have a monopoly on pricing. So chambers are, I mean, it's going to be just for us, it's going to just be the pricing's not set yet because obviously we have till May. So it's going to be just a few pounds. It's not going to be like £10 or anything like that. You know, but it was going to be, the maximum it would be for printing would be £5, but I suspect it will be slightly under that.
And another one that I already answered and that probably is good for everybody to know are the prices for the certificates of origin changing.
So when you buy a certificate of origin, you're not buying the piece of paper, you're buying the certification of it. So the certification price is the certification price. What we do, so that includes the paper as it was. When we go forward, the prices, like everything, will change accordingly as they do probably year to year. So there's, you know, the work is still being carried out. The same work is still being carried out by the chamber. The knowledge of the chamber having to issue those certificates and go through that process is still the same. So the pricing will be as it is for the actual processing of the certificates.
Yes, I've got another one that I would like you to answer if that's all right. We issue certificates of origin up to 1 month in advance due to import license applications in country of destination. Yeah. Will this affect when we can raise the certificate of origin and how long the new ones last?
No, a certificate of origin can be raised at any time as long as you have all the information you need to put on it and the backup that's required. So if it cannot be raised with a pro forma invoice, I will just remind exporters of that. No pro forma invoice can be used for a certificate of origin, but it can be raised as if you have your commercial export invoice or customs invoice, it can be raised at any time to do that. And they don't really have a lifespan. We know, but you can only, so if you were applying for goods that went out, say, over 2 years ago, or you applied for goods that went out 2 years ago, we'd probably be asking you why you needed that. They don't have a lifespan like a EUR1, which has to be utilized within, say, a year, depending on what's in the trade agreement. A certificate of origin is not like that. So You can raise it in advance if you wish, but you have to have all the information available to you in order to complete it. And as I mentioned, if you have that and you raise it and something changes, then you will have to do a replacement and you will be charged accordingly.
There were a few questions. I think people didn't understand perfectly the change that will happen in April, the first step.
So, okay, first step. So we know at this point, at this point in time, when you see a certificate of origin, it's got the round ICC logo on it. ICC have changed their logo, and Chambers of Commerce around the world have to change that logo by the 1st of April. So from the 1st of April, all certificates issued have to have the new logo. Crazy, but that's the way it is. So because we cannot go, we're not going to plain paper till the 1st of May, we have to make sure that those of you who have certificates of origin in stock with the old ICC logo are swapping those out for the new ones. So and I know it's not the best, for a month there'll be new certificates and then we will go plain paper.
Perfect. Let's see. Somebody's asking, I think this was also in regards to the dates. Can you explain one more time about the dates? Or can I say what I understood, if that's all right?
Yep.
So on 30 until 31st of March, nothing will change. And by 31st of March, the people need to change the forms, the blank forms that they have with the ones with the new logo.
That's right. So if they have them in stock, we will swap them for the new ones.
Yes, and once April ends, those certificates can be sent to the chamber and they will get credit for the future plain paper application.
Yes. So they will need to be with us. Any for processing will need to be with us by the 28th of April for us to process on the old form, on the form and the pre-printed form. Then but if they have stock left of the certificates, they can send them into us and you will use the word credit, Malin. I'm actually going to use the word bank, because what we're going to do,
Bank.
So if they send 5, we will bank 5 on the system, and then they can have free 5 plain paper printed certificates. They've got it in the bank that they can use up.
I understand. So basically you send 5, you have the right to use the first 5
plain paper for free.
Plain paper as prepaid. Yes.
And what we're going to say to everyone is, if you hold stock after the 1st of May, whether it be the current old certificates, the new old certificates, we're going to give you to the end of May. So May the 31st is May, got 31 days. May the 31st to send them back into us. So you have another month to get those old stock to us so that we can bank them for you.
Yes, I've got another question for you. So, one second, because it's just moving. There are so many questions coming. Where is it? So what happens if companies, for example, they ask for 5 certificates to use in April, but they will need 6 with the new logo? They
would get 5 for free, and the 6th one they'd have to pay for.
That's perfect. 1 second, because it is just scrolling up.
The questions are all during session.
Yeah,
we'll obviously go through them
it's...
after. Yeah, we've got plenty of time at the moment, so that's fine.
Find it quite. Yes. Something we had few questions about the Arab certificates of origin.
Yes.
Are there any issues, or are there any changes, or?
No, the change at this point in time, there are no changes to Arab British certificates of origin. You can apply for them electronically, but they would have to be sent in as a standard. You can apply as Express DIY, and then we would forward that, but that's only for certification only. So if you want certification and legalization on an Arab document, you have to submit it as a standard, or some people prefer to print them out and send them or courier them in. You can still do that with the Arab British certificates. I'm sure in the future that will change also, but at this point in time, it's exactly the same as it is now.
Another question is, will the other countries will accept in April certificates of origin with the old logo? I know that we will issue the new ones from April, but for example, if they will be issued on 31st of March and they will leave United Kingdom and they will arrive on 5th of April, let's say.
If it's issued before the 31st, then it won't be an issue. And I can't, I'm going to be honest with you there. I can't say that every customs officers are probably going to even notice, but we have to go by the official guidelines, which is if it's issued by the 31st of March, then it will still be valid. If there's one issued afterwards, if you put your Express on an old certificate after that, I cannot guarantee that will be accepted by customs.
Yes, how long does it take for the new digital certificate to be available for printing? How quick the service is?
Well, it's as quick as the processing that takes place. So, when as you said, we have, chambers, the process doesn't change. So, your certificate it'll come in the queue, they're done in date, or they're done in time order. Obviously, sometimes there's rejections, and I will say there are a lot of rejections. So please, 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 I will remind customers to check their documents before they're submitting them. And if you're not sure of the process, please ask, because we do have a rejection fee. Most chambers will have a rejection fee that is paid. For us, we will reject it once, you get one chance. And if we then reject it, after that, maybe twice, 3 times, you will be charged for 2 rejections if it's 3 rejections. So basically, the processing won't change. For us, it won't change. They'll still be processed in time order, and you will get it as soon as it's done. You'll get that notice, just as you do now.
And does the invoice have to be dated on or before the application date? So the invoice date, is that affected or affected in any way?
No, because for us, the invoice can be dated before or after, but for us, what's important, we must stamp the certificate of origin on the date that it's processed. So we can't, the system, we cannot even now change forward a date for a certificate of origin. So you couldn't send one in with an invoice that's forward dated and then we stamp it with that forward date. We have to stamp it with the date of the day we process it.
So anyway, if you forward the date of an invoice, basically that invoice doesn't exist today. So we cannot issue the certificate of origin with a future date. We're not back in the future.
No, yeah, we can't issue future date certificates of origin. They're stamped the day that they're done.
When will we know the new charges from 1st of May?
Well, the certificate of origin processing charge. So if you remember, it's £22. That's not going to change from the 1st of May. All there will be that nominal fee if you want us to print it. So you will know that ASAP, because you'll probably know by next week. But it will definitely be way before the 1st of May.
This is something that would be interesting for you to explain to us. So again, because it seems that the question just appeared. So what will happen if somebody, just to clarify it, so they will send us the blank forms that they have, the old ones, let's say 10 of them.
Yeah.
We'll receive 10 of the new logo ones.
Yes.
They will still end up with 2 leftovers at the end of April.
So what they do is they send those 2 leftovers in before the end of May. And what we will do is we will bank those. So we will put a credit against their name, their company name, and we will then do two free plain paper certificates for them. And this is because you've paid up front for those certificates. So you've paid up front for the processing. You haven't paid for the actual, most customers do not, they pay for the processing when they buy the blanks currently. So for those that have those in stock, they send them back in, and we will put that as a banked credit that we will use when they send their next certificate in on plain paper.
Okay. And I think we finished with the questions. There are only 55 questions.
Basically, I know somebody said, where do we send the blank certificates? You send them to the chamber office that you actually deal with. So whether it be, Heathrow, Banbury, Slough, you would give them to that office, and they will process that for you. So everyone, we know I will thank everyone already in advance, because lots of customers have actually told us what they have and started sending them in. So if you want to swap some now, you can do that. So if you've got 50 and you're only going to use 10, say in April, you can send the others in, and we'll bank those already. So you may want to do that in advance, because we're doing that for you now. This is me, most people will try and avoid me, I suspect, but I'm based at the Slough office, but my team are, as I said, in all the locations that we have. If you have any queries, then you just need to pick up the phone, talk to the guys, pick up the phone, and they'll be happy to help you, because obviously that's what we're here for. We're try to make your life easier, our life easier, and take it from there. Somebody's asked, they've got some EC certificates of origin. Can you send them? No, we left the EU 3 years ago. So no, is the answer to that. We had a period of time where we were swapping that, but 3 years is a bit excessive. So if there's no more questions, I'd like to thank you for listening today. As I said, it will be recorded, so we'll get this out to you again. And hopefully if you have any more questions or anything, hopefully it's not as complicated as you may have feared. The process is just changing. It's just that the fact is they're going to be printed onto plain paper, and you can do that a lot more. We expect customers to be able to print electronically and print them out, and customs to accept them. So overseas customs, if you have any problems, just let us know. Thank you, everyone, and speak to you soon. Take care.